Today's topic, identifying failures before they happen. Hi, I'm Doug Holt, with author of Your Own Story, and this is your daily growth hack, where each day we give you a tip, trick, or insight to help you up-level what we call the 5 to Thrive. That is your mind, your body, your soul, your relationships, and your business. So what do we mean by identifying failures before they happen? Well, we talk so much about positivity, right? We talk about designing your goals, designing your ideal day, looking back, and planning for the future. But oftentimes what we don't talk about are failures. And I mean by designing, how do you know when you fail? So a lot of times people say, well, Doug, I don't want to look at failures. I don't want to look at the negativity. I don't want to look at failures because also it's painful. It's painful to think about failures. Well, what's more painful is by not thinking about what it is to fail, what it means to fail to you means you're going around blind. You're going around blind because failures are painful. And so you don't want to identify those painful. And so then what happens is you wake up 5, 10, 20 years later and it's too late to go back. You've been down the path of failure because you've been avoiding really looking at yourself clearly and looking at yourself from a point of view that you're willing to look at the hard evidence. So what do you do? Well, in your 5 to Thrive, right? So I love the 5 to Thrive again because it's holistic. It looks at your whole journey of you being this human existence holistically. You have your mind, your body, your soul, your relationships, and your business. Now, again, if you don't own your own business or you don't even work, use business as a goal, right? So just a big goal, a BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goal, right? So what's the big thing that you're working on? But then how do you define failure, right? So for me, what is failure in my mind? Well, failure for me is not being able to speak a second language, right? To me, that would be failing. I'd be failing if I wasn't able to do that. If I wasn't constantly, reading a new book, if I hadn't read a new book within a month, that's a failure. And so what about my body? So I'm just going to share mine with you. Body, for me, a failure for body would be to not be active, not to be able to hike with my family, unless, of course, there was some kind of physical limitation that occurred. Life happens and I get it. And, I'll tell you a short inspirational story that I always remember is about feeling bad for myself and my physical activity and then turning on the TV and then seeing a guy get out of the San Francisco Bay on a triathlon with no legs. I was like, okay, I got to turn the TV off and get out there. So that's how I define failure for me, for my body. What about my soul? What is failure for my soul? Well, it's feeling unfulfilled. It's really feeling unfulfilled, not sharing my gifts to other people. And that's part of why I film these daily growth hacks. They're not easy to film these. They take a lot of my time. We edit it. We pay money to have this all done for you guys. I'm not saying woe is me, but I do this because it fills my soul to give back. And the comments that I get from people really, really, really fill me up. And that means a lot to me. And then what about relationships? A failure in my relationships would be not having anybody that I love and that loves me, that kind of mutual standpoint, like not being able to pick up the phone and just call somebody and share my wins and my failures, right? We all need a support system, When I was my younger years, I thought, I could just do this all by myself. I could be in a cave and all alone and not a problem. I got this. I love myself and I'm fine. And I found that's just not the case. That's not true. And I was really running for other things in my life that I was able to identify by doing the work that you guys are doing. And then business. What's a failure for my business? Well, for me, a failure in my business is not trying. It's not just going out there and putting myself out there, right? It's not really opening myself up and going big. It's not shooting for the stars. Also, a failure for me in business is not doing the right thing for a client. That really is something that I just never will do. I'll always do the right thing for a client. I'll always go the right path. So even when we get people that want coaching, one-on-one coaching, and they're not the right fit, I send them somewhere else. It's just not worth it to me. Yeah, it's great money. It's 6 figures. I'm almost stupid not to, but at the same time, the pain that it causes me internally in my business, and it also goes with my soul, it's not who I am. It's not with integrity. So I recommend they go somewhere else and I point them in the right direction. So that's mine. So what are yours? So what are your definitions of failure in your 5 to Thrive? So grab your journal right now, write down your 5 to Thrive, and write out what failure is for you. What are these benchmarks in your life that if you hit this road mark, right, that's success. We do that all the time. But if you hit this other road mark, that's failure. And this allows you to open up those blinders even wider and gives you more opportunity, more positivity, in my opinion, to see the breadcrumbs in the road. And hey, you want to know, if you come to a fork in the road and you start walking down to the left and you realize that's failure, that's a path to failure, that's okay. You can turn around and simply walk back the other way and go down the other path of success. But if you haven't identified failure, you're going to walk down that road way too far, and maybe to a point where, frankly, it's too difficult to turn back. And I've seen this happen more and more people, especially as I get older. The people that I associate myself with are a lot older as well. I have clients in their 70s. And I'm also here to tell you, look, it's never too late to turn back, because I've seen people make dramatic pivots, even in their late 70s. My oldest client is in his mid 70s right now, and he is making a 180, and it is amazing to see how much vibrancy he has. So don't let that hold you back, but don't get yourself down a path too far that it's harder for yourself to pull back, right? You have to do a lot more work. This is analogous to, the businessman who gains 200 pounds of body fat and now has to, recognizes that this is a sign, and now has to go back and spend several years of really working on his health just to get back to baseline. I don't want that to happen to you. And this goes with all areas of your life. So write down your 5 to thrive, write down in each category what failure is to you. And again, I'm going to tell you, build your tribe. I can't emphasize this enough. Share this with 3 people you know right now. If you're watching this on YouTube or on Facebook, the video, just click the share button, send it to 3 people, and just simply say, hey, what do you think about this? Now, if you're listening to this as a podcast, you can share that too, right from your phone. Share it from the podcast, or if you're reading this, you could be reading this. We give you 3 ways to digest this content. If you're reading this, share it. Share it with 3 people you want in your tribe, 3 people you think you'll feel accountable to. Now, if you're just super shy or super nervous about sharing this kind of stuff with people, I understand. Share this with 3 people you don't know very well. It's an easy way of doing it. Share it with an online people you don't know that well. It doesn't hurt you, right? Plenty of ways to do that. But by sharing, I can guarantee you, if you start sharing this with people, your conversations will increase. Conversations that matter that you're having in your life will up-level, and so will your lives and those around you. That's it for me today. Remember, go out and be the author of your own story. I hope you enjoyed today's Daily Growth Hacks. Please put your comments right down below, and remember to click subscribe. This way we can ensure that we're delivering these Daily Growth Hacks right to you each and every day. On behalf of the whole team here, remember, go out and be the author of your own story.